Hope of the Nations is my 9/11 song.
Wow.
About 2 days before 9/11 happened, of course, we had no idea that 9/11 was about to happen. I started writing a song. I kind of was struck by this scripture in Matthew, and in his name the nations will put their hope. So Jesus, hope of the nations, Jesus, comfort for all who mourn. I was thinking about how all throughout the nations of the world, there's both beauty, but there's also tragedy. And as people wrestle with their mourning, and their grief, Jesus can draw alongside us and say, I know.
Yeah.
I've wept too. You're not alone. And so I started writing the song, and I was booked to get on a plane on September the 12th to fly to Dublin, Ireland. We were preparing for a live recording that was going to come out the following year called You Shine. But of course, planes weren't flying on 9/12
Yeah.
because on 9/11 what had happened. And so I literally had started the song. The verses were written. And as I was watching the news feeds on 9/12, 9/13, almost like with tears running down my eyes, I wrote, in history, you lived and died. You broke the chains. You rose to life. You are the hope living in us. You are the rock in whom we trust. And I wrote the rest of the
Wow.
song there. So that song has always been connected to that kind of seismic shift in culture, and sort of saying, there's one group saying, you're mistreating us. You're not paying attention to us. So we're going to solve it through violence,
Yeah.
and we're going to solve it through intimidation and fear. And I start thinking about, well, how did Jesus come and approach our problems that needed to be solved? He sacrificed himself. He made a way in history, and it wasn't just abstract philosophy. It was something that happened in history. So that was Hope of the Nations. Come Now Is a Time happened a few years before that. We had found out our son had Fragile X syndrome, and would require care for the rest of his life. And that was a pretty weighty revelation for us to find out. And then we had been launching a musical called Father's House, and that
Yeah.
musical collapsed. The album did really well, but the stage musical initially collapsed. We were almost bankrupt. And I was offered a job on the other side of the world in London, England. And so we arrived in London not knowing a soul, with
Wow.
five young children, working for a church in London. And one morning I went walking on the streets of London, praying, struggling. I mean, it was a tough season. And when I'm leading worship, I am always conscious about, it's almost like in my heart and in my mind, I'm reaching out to the person in the back corner who maybe does barely, even maybe they don't want to be there, or they're hurting. They don't even have the energy to sing. I'm consciously trying to serve them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be gentle. I'm trying to be invitational in a way that doesn't put any extra weight or guilt or pressure on them. No, come.
That's
Now
right.
is the time. Come just as you are.
That's
You're
right.
you're loved, you're welcome here. And then in that light, hoping that people will have that experience. And then knowing that sometimes, there won't be a connection for them, but maybe the next day when they're going for a walk, then boom, maybe a song will come to mind. They'll start humming, and then all of a sudden they'll feel a connection there.
Yes.
We're not in control of all of those details. Um, what we are in control of is our attitude, whether we're willing to do the preparation work, behind the scenes, and then just being present.